What if the battles you face aren't external, but echoes of a war waged within? We often look outward, blaming circumstances, other people, or sheer bad luck for our discontent. But what if the true source of our struggles lies hidden deep within, the labyrinth of our own minds, in the unacknowledged corners of our being? This isn't about self-blame, but about a radical shift in perspective, seeing ourselves not as victims of circumstance, but as protagonists in an epic internal drama. Think of the ancient heroes, not as flawless paragons of virtue, but as flawed individuals grappling with their own inner demons. Achilles had his pride, Oedipus his destiny, and every hero faced a moment of profound self-doubt. Their stories resonate not because of their perfection, but because of their struggle, their relentless pursuit of meaning and purpose in the face of overwhelming odds. We too are on a heroic journey, whether we realize it or not. The battlefield may be our careers, our relationships, or simply our own minds, but the stakes are just as high, our very sense of self. This journey isn't about slaying dragons in faraway lands, but about confronting the dragons that lurk within our own hearts. These are the fears, insecurities, and limiting beliefs that hold us back from living fully and authentically. They whisper doubts in our ears, sabotage our efforts, and keep us trapped in patterns of behavior that no longer serve us. Recognizing these inner adversaries is the first step towards reclaiming our power and rewriting our own heroic narratives. It requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to delve into the shadows, the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. Imagine your life as a vast, uncharted territory. You are the explorer, the cartographer, and the sovereign ruler of this inner world. But to truly claim your kingdom, you must venture into the unknown, face your fears, and integrate all aspects of your being, the light and the dark, the strengths and the weaknesses. This is the path of individuation, the process of becoming a whole and complete self. It's a lifelong journey full of twists and turns, setbacks and triumphs, but it's also the most rewarding adventure you'll ever undertake. We are all, in essence, heroes in the making. We all possess the potential to overcome our challenges, to transform our lives, and to create a world that reflects our deepest values. But to do so, we must first embrace our own inner heroism, the courage to face our fears, the wisdom to learn from our mistakes, and the compassion to forgive ourselves and others. This is not a passive process. It requires active engagement, conscious choice, and an unwavering commitment to growth. It's about choosing to live a life of purpose, meaning, and authenticity, regardless of the obstacles that stand in our way. The hero's journey awaits. Delving deeper, let's examine the anatomy of these inner battles. It's not simply about identifying our fears, but understanding their origins and the narratives that sustain them. Think of these narratives as deeply ingrained scripts passed down through generations, learned from our families, our cultures, and our own past experiences. These scripts dictate how we perceive ourselves, how we relate to others, and how we interpret the world around us. They can be incredibly powerful, shaping our beliefs, our behaviors, and ultimately, our destinies. However, not all scripts are created equal. Some empower us, guiding us towards growth and fulfillment. Others, however, can be incredibly limiting, trapping us in cycles of self-doubt and negativity. These are the scripts that tell us we're not good enough, not smart enough, not worthy of love or success. They are the voices of our inner critics, constantly reminding us of our flaws and imperfections. Recognizing these limiting scripts is the first step towards rewriting them. It requires a conscious effort to challenge our beliefs, to question our assumptions, and to create new narratives that support our growth and well-being. A significant aspect of this internal struggle involves confronting what Carl Jung termed the shadow self. This is the part of ourselves that we tend to reject or deny. the aspects of our personality that we deem unacceptable or undesirable. It can include our anger, our jealousy, our selfishness, or any other trait that we perceive as negative. However, Jung argued that the shadow is not inherently evil. It is simply the part of ourselves that we have not yet integrated. By acknowledging and accepting our shadow, we can gain access to untapped sources of energy and creativity. We can also develop a greater sense of self-compassion and understanding. To illustrate, consider the story of someone who consistently avoids conflict, believing it's always best to be agreeable and accommodating. This person might be repressing their anger and resentment, burying it deep within their shadow. Over time, this repressed anger can manifest in passive-aggressive behavior, chronic fatigue, or even physical illness. By acknowledging and expressing their anger in a healthy way, this person can reclaim their power and set healthier boundaries in their relationships. Consequently, the journey to inner heroism is not about becoming perfect, but about becoming whole. It's about integrating all aspects of our being, the light and the dark, the strengths and the weaknesses. It's about embracing our imperfections and recognizing that they are an essential part of who we are. Now consider how this applies when you face a challenging situation. Are you reacting from a place of fear and self-doubt, or from a place of strength and self-acceptance? Are you allowing your limiting scripts to dictate your behavior, or are you consciously choosing to rewrite them? The answers to these questions can provide valuable insights into your own inner battles and how to overcome them. As the pieces of this intricate puzzle begin to coalesce, a discernible pattern emerges, a tapestry not of effortless triumph, but of continuous striving and profound self-discovery. What initially appears as disparate threads, the recognition of internal conflict, the deconstruction of limiting narratives, and the integration of the shadow self, reveals itself as a unified process, a dance between vulnerability and resilience. Imagine these elements as the ingredients of a potent alchemical formula, each essential for transmuting the base metal of self-doubt into the gold of authentic self-expression. Viewed through this lens, the heroic journey ceases to be a linear progression towards some distant, idealized endpoint. Instead, it becomes a cyclical process of shedding old skins and embracing new forms. With each challenge overcome, each limiting belief shattered, and each shadow aspect integrated, we evolve into more complete and authentic versions of ourselves. This evolution is not about eliminating the struggles, but about changing our relationship to them. It's about learning to navigate the turbulent waters of our inner lives with greater skill, compassion, and wisdom. Thinking about this journey, it is much like tending a garden. We must constantly weed out the unwanted thoughts and beliefs that choke our growth, nurture the seeds of our potential, and cultivate an environment that supports our flourishing. This requires patience, dedication, and a willingness to get our hands dirty. There will be times when we feel overwhelmed by the task, when the weeds seem to be winning, and when the garden feels barren and lifeless. But it is in these moments that our commitment to the process is truly tested. Reflecting on this journey so far, we begin to understand that the true reward is not the destination, but the transformation that occurs along the way. It's not about achieving some external measure of success, but about cultivating a deep sense of inner peace, purpose, and authenticity. It's about living a life that is aligned with our values, our passions, and our highest potential. As we pivot towards the final reflection, remember that the journey of inner heroism is a lifelong pursuit, a continuous unfolding of our potential. The battles may never cease entirely, but our capacity to face them with courage, wisdom, and compassion will continue to grow. The question now becomes, what will you do with this newfound understanding? Ultimately, the myth of the hero isn't about escaping our struggles, but about embracing them as opportunities for growth and transformation. It's about recognizing that the battlefield is not out there, but in here, within the landscape of our own hearts and minds. And it's about understanding that the greatest victory is not the absence of conflict, but the cultivation of inner peace and resilience. Think of your life not as a finished product, but as a work in progress, a masterpiece that is constantly being refined and perfected. Each challenge you face, each mistake you make, and each lesson you learn adds another layer of depth and complexity to your creation. And it is in these imperfections, in these moments of vulnerability, that the true beauty of your life shines. The journey of inner heroism is not a solitary pursuit. It is a shared human experience. We are all, in essence, fellow travelers on this path, supporting each other, learning from each other, and inspiring each other to reach our full potential. And it is in this sense of connection, in this shared humanity, that we find the strength to overcome our challenges and to create a world that is more just, more compassionate, and more fulfilling. Therefore, the true practice begins now, not in some distant future when all your problems are solved, but in this very moment, with all your imperfections and all your struggles. It begins with a conscious choice to embrace your inner hero, to face your fears with courage, to rewrite your limiting narratives, and to integrate your shadow self. It begins with a commitment to living a life that is aligned with your values, your passions, and your highest potential. Go forth then, not as a flawless paragon of virtue, but as a flawed and beautiful human being, embracing the journey of self-discovery with open arms, for it is in the crucible of our struggles that we are forged into the heroes we were always meant to be. And remember the words of the poet Rilke: perhaps all the dragons in our lives are ultimately princesses, who are only waiting to see us act just once, with beauty and courage. The time to act is now.